So guys, if you're a bigger person and you wanted the Scout but it's too small for you, try out the Springfield and you're gonna absolutely love it. What is up, everybody? Dan the Fireman here with another Indian Motorcycle Tucson demo event ride. Now, I'm riding the Springfield Darkhorse. I literally just said, hey, what bike is available? Boom, jumped on it. That's why that is all crooked. And we're gonna be riding this. This is gonna be a big bike compared to me as a rider. And we're gonna do it, we're gonna have fun. So what I'm doing with these rides is I'm trying to figure out what this bike is for, or who this bike is for. Is it for me? Is it for somebody that wants to tour? Is it for somebody that wants to ride around town? Is it safe for me to do this? Is it safe for me to do that? And that's typically what a demo event's all about. You know, you're gonna test your skills with the bike that you might want, or figure out maybe there's a bike that you do want that you never thought you could ride. And this is the perfect example, a perfect thing to do. So we're gonna talk about that. So right here is the Springfield Darkhorse. It's a very powerful bike, and I'm not gonna go over the specs and all these different things. I'm just gonna talk about some of the stuff that is kind of important to me as a consumer. So I come from a safety standpoint and from a consumer standpoint. So we got floorboards, mini apes, big powerful bike. I have to reach forward. I'm 5'6", so that might play a role. I have a 30-inch inseam. I can flat foot things. So that's good so far. So how is it gonna do for like evasive maneuvers? How does it feel for power if I have to get out of a situation? How wide is it, or how easy is it to start and go? You know, all these different things are very important when it comes to picking a bike. What type of rider is this bike for? Well, this, for somebody a little bit bigger. It doesn't mean you can't do it. I could definitely, I'm riding. I'm like I said, I'm 5'6". I have a 30-inch inseam, so my legs are 30 inches, I guess. And I can reach the forward controls. I can reach the controls up here. I might have to make slight adjustments. You know, I might be able to move the bars down a little bit so I don't have to reach so far. So I'm not fully extended. I like to have a bend in my arms. I also like to have a bend in my knees. And then I definitely can reach the rear brake, and then the levers, and then the shifter down here. So that's really important. So safety-wise, for my height, for my size, I can make it work. I could definitely make it work. Do I want to make it work? That's the biggest thing. Do I need to make it work? That's another big thing. Like, do I have to, or do I need to like move these bars just for me to ride? That's when we start getting into some problems. And if it's just too much stuff to change, then there's really no point in getting this bike. We can get something different to fit our needs and fit our size better. So right here, let's see, turning, good friction zone, good friction, everything. So if you know how to ride, you can pretty much ride any bike. Just takes a little bit of getting used to the ergonomics. So who is this for, really? This is for somebody that wants to be super comfy on longer rides, because these floorboards are amazingly comfy. The suspension system is crazy comfy. I don't feel any bumps. I was riding that bike, the Scout Bobber 20, and I felt every bump. And that has nothing to do about, like, you know, the bad suspension, you know, oh, Indian did really crappy suspension. No, it's a different bike. This is just a different bike, different size, different weight, different everything. You pay for a little bit more for that smooth ride, please. So this is for somebody that wants to go longer distance, or is a bigger person, like taller, maybe horizontally and vertically, and it's really comfy for them because now they can really, you know, stretch out. So if you get a smaller bike, you might not be able to stretch out. On this bike, you can definitely stretch out, and then the seat feels really good. I actually like the seat, how it feels like it's sucking my butt in, so I feel like I'm connected to the bike, which is very important when it comes to riding. You don't want to feel like you're on top of the bike and not, you know, not really one with it, because when you do evasive maneuvers, you don't want to like feel uncomfortable. So it might take a little bit of time for you to get used to that, but immediately I feel very comfortable with the bike. So that's really good. We're gonna be getting on the interstate up here after this type of traffic. We're gonna get on the interstates. We're gonna feel how it feels on the interstate. Remember, there's always options that add windscreens, different things, and all that stuff. And I talked about the Scout Bobber, that one right there, the Scout Bobber 20, about how making it your own, but buying the base model that you know you could work with. So like that bike that has the floating seat, I would change the seat out so then it would change the way everything is situated. It would make it to where I'd be changing the look of the bike. So with this bike, there's not much I would change. So I mean, like, if I buy the bike for the looks and for the use of it, there's not much I would change other than making it to where I can handle it better. But overall, the look of the bike will stay the same. Darkhorse is amazingly black. So there's not much I would change when it comes to that. So there's not much I could say. There's definitely some aftermarket options. I mean, maybe if you want, you can change the grips, you can change the mirrors. I mean, like small things here and there. But overall, I wouldn't change too much. We do have hard saddlebags, so that's typically why they're there, is because they want you to tour with it. They want you to have the capacity. They want you to take it to the grocery store and buy groceries and put them in there. So that's the type of rider that they're marketing to. So they want you to be the person that, not necessarily to replace the vehicle, but feel comfortable riding in town, riding out of town, having the necessary supplies, feeling comfortable doing it. And if you're a bigger rider, in-town stuff won't be that big of a problem. And if you're a shorter rider, it still wouldn't be a problem because this is a very low seat height. I can flat foot this thing easily. And the turning capabilities are pretty good. You saw in that turn, I was able to maintain a pretty dang good turn. So if you feel uncomfortable riding these big touring bikes in town, just practice a little bit. It takes a little bit of practice. Go to a parking lot, do some U-turns, do some figure eights, because the reason why you do U-turns and figure eights is so that you can get a feel for the balance, you get a feel for your skills, and then in reality, you're only doing like 90-degree turns and wide sweeping turns, but it gives you a good feel. Does the floorboards and mid-rise bars, or even the size of this bike, affect how safe I could be? Kinda. On top of that, it's gonna help out in some areas and it's gonna be hurtful in others. So let's go for some of the helpful spots. So the helpful spot is that it is a heavier bike and it's designed with a lower center of gravity. Everything designed about this bike is for really long distance riding, interstate riding, all that stuff. So when you have low center of gravity and relatively heavy, crosswinds won't play a massive role. You still feel it, but compared to Scout Bobber or any of the other Indians small bikes, you're not going to feel as much sway when it comes to a bike like this. So that with the saddlebags and everything, that really plays into the aspect of this was designed for the cruise, you know, the long distance and interstate riding, or riding, you know, up Mount Lemmon or a mountain, but having a comfortable ride. That's where it's really important. In town, it might play, you know, a little bit, because bigger bikes are not necessarily harder to do slow speed stuff, but they take a little more experience and a little more practice, because now you're utilizing a really heavy bike and you have to counterbalance slow speed stuff with a really heavy bike. So that could play a big role in how you're doing stuff here, like in town, where you have to stop, go, right hand turn off here, stop, go, stop, all these different things. So this really shines when it goes to long distance and faster speeds, and we're gonna get on the interstate real quick and we're gonna show some of that. So this has really good long distance stuff. So that's kind of what this bike is designed for, is for that type of person that wants to do that. And then there's also those types of people that like the look of this bike and they just want to be part of that culture of the look, and that's perfectly fine too. But like I said with the Scout Bobber, you don't want to change too much unless you have an idea of how it'll look. Coming from me, I changed my Sportster to a Cafe Sportster and a Scrambler. I mean, you could do that easily with something, you know, with any bike, but if you really want to get a bike that's like a Springfield and stick with the Springfield and stick with how it looks overall, then you really don't want to change too much, right? The only thing you really want to change is, like, you know, creature comforts, like, you know, a seat or better hand grips, or maybe change out the handlebars so that they're not, maybe you could do full lathe hangers. These are mid-rise, I think. It might be full. I'll annotate. So checking out the turn right there. I thought we were going to go in the next one. That's why I went a little wide. So figuring out how the bike works, all these different things. We have the typical, you have cruise control, we have, you know, the horn, we have everything here. We basically have everything that we absolutely need for these long distance stuff. All right, so now we're going on the interstate. Let's see how it sways, or how things are messing with me, all these different things. So we're in 4th gear and I feel comfortable going 60 in 4th gear, but let's go ahead and put it in 5th gear. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is a very smooth ride. Very smooth ride. I could see myself doing 85 easily, put it on cruise control, and letting this thing just pretty much ride itself. With acceleration, the seat grabs my ass really well. I don't feel like I'm sliding anywhere. I don't feel anything. I don't feel the wind just hitting me in the chest, so I don't know how this is working, how it's deflecting wind. So I feel comfortable. I'm in 5th gear, 70 miles an hour. I feel like I still got a crap load of power. It's only at 3,000 RPMs at 70 miles an hour in 5th gear. I still got a 6th. So I mean, it's crazy how this is tuned and it's meant to ride. It also has different modes. Right now it's in touring mode, so it's actually designed for this portion right now. You can change the mode for, like, if you're riding in town, if you decide to ride out of town, put it in touring mode, different things. So it's really good to have. As a short person, would I buy this bike? As somebody that already has an FTR and has a Honda Rebel at home, would I buy this bike? Now, this is a bike that I would buy if I really wanted to ride with my wife and have her on the back seat. So this would be one of those bikes where I feel comfortable doing that. I might change it to mid controls if there is a way to make it mid controls. That way I can have access to, like, my legs aren't stretched out reaching for a primary control. Same thing with this. I'd probably lower the bars and maybe tilt them a little bit my way. That way I have better access to the primary controls and not having to reach for them, because in an emergency you don't want to be reaching or thinking like, oh crap, I gotta reach for it. So you don't want to be doing that. So in emergency, you definitely want to have things ready and available for you. With her on the back, I bet you it'd be just perfectly fine. I'd probably get a better seat for her. I think, yeah, this is a passenger seat on it, but I'd get a backrest for her, maybe a sissy bar of some kind. The Springfield up ahead, which you see the red right there, it has a top case. That's easily a backrest and a top case. So if I really wanted to go super duper long distance, like really designed for 2 people, I'd probably get the Chieftain and above. You know, like this is Roadmaster, Challenger, Chieftain. I'd probably do that. If I want to do, if I'm a bigger person, taller person, and I want to have a bike that's bigger than a Scout, this is the bike. This is the bike I would get, and I'd be able to be comfortable on it. It's basically just like a giant Scout, and I can do it, and if you're a bigger person, you could do it. And then on top of that, you have plenty of power, plenty of suspension, plenty of everything to add a passenger to it whenever you feel like it. So that's what this is designed for, I believe anyways. And definitely the Darkhorse are gonna have that badass all black, you know, black on black on black look. Safety wise, it has ABS and has all the stuff that you would have in a typical Indian bike. You just have to practice. And then you got to practice your emergency skills like swerving, apply brakes and figure eights, so you can get a better understanding of the counterbalance for when you are in a parking lot or when you have to make a sharp right turn like at a stoplight. So that's who I believe this bike is for, and my safety concerns for it. Not really that much. I mean, every bike is inherently dangerous. You just have to keep practicing. And especially if you get on a new bike like this, you're gonna want to practice. Easily feel that. It's a bigger bike, you can kind of feel it. And when it came to the Bobber 20 and even the Chieftain Limited, I felt like I was sitting on top of the bike. This bike, I don't feel like I'm on top. I feel like I'm in control. I'm like sucked in with the seat. So that's a